Welcome to My Forever Home, the podcast. I'm Frances Cosway and I've helped hundreds of people create forever homes. I can't wait to share the journey with you. So let's start. Hello and welcome to My Forever Home, episode 11 of the Sustainable Homes and Living season. It's quite incredible that we're up to episode 11 and there are still many more episodes to come as part of this season. It almost seems like a never-ending season because there's so many different things that we can talk about when it comes to sustainable homes, living in a sustainable home and just sustainable living. I just also at this stage wanted to let you know what to expect from the podcast coming up. So I have decided to make the podcast come out every fortnight instead of every week. Things are really busy and I still want to be able to serve you on the podcast and share the information. But to be really frank, I suppose, it's really challenging for me to be able to do it every single week. So rather than have it spasmodic, I'd really like to be able to commit with you, my listeners, to be able to have it out every second week. So that's what you can expect, that every fortnight there will be a new podcast episode for you to listen to. So what am I going to talk about today? It's just me. I don't have a guest today, but there's something that was that I was thinking about over the last couple of weeks, particularly as we've come back for the new year of 2023, and I was just thinking about what's changed. I don't even know what prompted me to think about this, but how I have seen things change in terms of what our clients are asking for. And there really has been a shift. And I feel that it's really relevant to talk about the podcast because it may prompt you to think about something that you could do for your home, or just from a positive perspective that there is change happening. I'm really seeing a change in what people are asking for, a change in the thinking, and just an overall change of a positive movement in the sustainability movement. And it is, as you know, I'm very passionate about this, but it's such a beautiful thing to see and to actually witness. Not I'm reading in the paper or seeing on the news, but I'm actually witnessing it for myself. I'm seeing it happen in my day-to-day work in the studio and serving and speaking to clients. So what I wanted to talk to you about today was, what are our clients wanting more of in terms of sustainable measures? What are they really seeking out, and where am I seeing the shift in the mentality and the shift in what people are focusing on? Considering it is a sustainability season, I really wanted to touch base and share what I'm seeing because I think it's really important and it's super positive. So the mindset shift that I'm seeing about sustainability covers quite a few things. The first thing that I'm seeing is the emphasis on Australian-made products. Not only from a supplier perspective and seeing more products being made in Australia, which is awesome, but that our clients are asking for more Australian-made products in what we're providing them. Now, look, as a rule, we will specify Australian-made wherever we can, regardless of whether a client has asked for it or not, and if there isn't a price implication that we feel may affect them. So it's really just part of the core of what we do. But what is music to my ears and what I'm hearing more of is people are expressly asking for Australian-made products when we're in our briefing session with them, which is when we're asking them what's important to them and what are the criteria, what's the design direction that we have to go down for them. So when we have clients say, as part of the design direction, we want to have Australian-made products in our home, that's awesome. So they're asking for it more than ever before. Is this a COVID effect, an after COVID effect, I should say? I don't know. Because of course, during COVID, we were seeing that there was massive supply chain issues with products that were coming out of other countries outside of Australia. It means that we have shorter lead times, generally speaking, when we're ordering things from Australian-made producers. We had better accessibility to Australian-made products during COVID. So is it a flow-on effect after the COVID effect? I'm not sure, but it doesn't really matter because we're supporting local jobs, we're supporting local industry and local manufacturing. So for me, let's bring it on. It is positive for everyone living in this country to have Australian-made products. Next, which is possibly not going to come as a surprise, but I'm really seeing the shift here, is clients expressly, again, during our briefing session with them, expressly asking for the specification of products and materials that are sustainable and environmentally friendly. So this may mean that we are focusing on green tag accredited products, carbon neutral products, closed life cycle products. We are making sure then that the products that we're specifying back to these clients completely tick all those boxes. Now, similarly with Australian-made products, as a matter of course, we will be specifying green tag products, environmentally friendly products, and so forth, just as part of what we do, even if our clients haven't asked for it. Again, if it's not affecting them in a financial position or whatever, that we're still meeting all the other core criteria. If it's going to give them the best result, we will still specify, or we make sure that we're specifying sustainable products. But when clients are actually expressly asking for a criteria of we want them to be, our products to be sustainable and environmentally friendly, that's a win. Now, I am seeing over the last 18 months, but particularly in 2022, a big shift in how many people have got that as a core criteria for what we're specifying for them. It's really, really on the upward trajectory, which is fantastic. Now, it is a big passion of mine, but to see it actually be asked of us is music to my ears, because what it's showing to me is the message is getting through, that people are caring more, it's becoming more of a criteria, it's becoming more of an objective for what they're trying to create in their homes. So that's great, because, like I've said many times in previous podcast episodes, when we were building 8 years ago, it was almost impossible for us to find what we wanted, just because there wasn't enough demand. And obviously with demand comes more supply. So it's showing me that people are caring more about the impact of materials in their products too. So we're also having clients that may say to us, we do not want to specify anything that has got a harmful material that may impact someone else. So it's not about them. It's actually they're looking at the broader picture of how are other people going to be affected by a product that I'm choosing. So a really good example of this is silica. And as we know by what the press has been, I know it in the industry, but the press that you may have seen is that silicosis is an issue, and in reconstituted stone, which does have a proportion of silica as a material in that product, it's not the end consumer or the end user that is being affected by that in a negative way on their health. It's actually the stonemason, when that product is actually cut, that the particles of silica are going into the air and then causing health issues. So we had quite a few clients in 2022 ask us to expressly not specify products that had silica in it, because they cared about the stonemasons and they cared about the impact of the choices they were making and how that impacted other people in the product cycle, how it impacted their lives. So what a beautiful thing that is, that it's not it is an environmental thing from a silica perspective, but further to that, people are caring about others. And I see it also in the fashion industry, that people are caring more about where their products are made, and is it being made in a sweatshop. Even my children will not buy from particular brands or particular online stores where they know that people that are making those products or that piece of fashion are getting paid 1 to 2 cents to produce that entire item of clothing. So if that's following through through the market, that is, music to my ears as well. So they're thinking about the supply chain and how others are impacted. They're also thinking more about the energy consumption of their home and how to save energy. So this is, I suppose, an offshoot of the sustainability thing, that more and more I'm hearing people really mindful about how much energy their home is going to use. Look, not all the time. It becomes particularly prevalent when I'm going through a floor plan sanity check and I'm talking about zoning, and I'm talking about and highlighting the fact that, flicking a switch is going to mean that the 40 square home is going to be heated or cooled. And people are like, oh no, I don't want that. So they may not have been aware of the impact, but when we're going through a floor plan sanity check and I can talk about the impact, they are really caring about the amount of energy they're consuming to heat or cool their home, because ka-ching, that is going to equal money. So it's not only an environmental issue from a energy consumption perspective and where's that energy coming from, but it's also a monetary issue as well. So whether it's being driven by a back pocket or whether it's being driven by, I really care about the energy consumption, particularly from a raw material perspective, I am seeing the change. Perhaps it's also because energy prices are increasing. It's absolutely a known fact. They're increasing with inflation, but they're also just increasing and exceeding the inflation rate, and impact from the war in Ukraine, but just the shortage of energy that we've got at the moment anyway, particularly something like gas. So as a knock on too, I'm seeing more and more home designs that have no gas connected at all. So again, clients are specifically requesting that their home doesn't have any gas. They will get used to no gas cooking and they will use induction, but they do not want gas connected to the home. And you will have heard me talk on a previous episode in this season with the editor of Sanctuary magazine, and how that she's seeing that as a trend as well, that it is just becoming less and less of a need to have gas connected. So it's in a purely electric home, and that electricity is actually coming from solar panels, which then leads to the next thing that's becoming more and more popular, and that is installing or provisioning for a battery. Sometimes that battery provision is because they know in the future they're going to get an electric car, or they already have an electric car. So whether this is installing today or provisioning for, they're thinking about where our energy is going and the direction that it's going, and how are they going to future-proof their home to make sure that when they're building, that there is a provision for an electric car, a battery, even if they may not be buying that right now. So that battery is not necessarily for an electric car. They want the connection for that, but it's also meaning that any energy that's coming off their solar panels can actually be stored so that they're able to use that at night and when there isn't necessarily any sun out. So that is really, I'm seeing that absolutely coming to the fore as well, which is fantastic. Energy saving, sustainability, no gas being connected, less reliance on raw materials to generate energy in that instance, and just wanting less of a focus on energy and having energy in the home to be able to then use other ways to keep their house cool and warm. And that also then leads to the installation of more fans. I'm definitely seeing, again, that will come out in a floor plan sanity check when I'm talking to people, but I'm absolutely seeing the increase in the amount of ceiling fans being installed. And if you think about the fact that a ceiling fan is not only a beautiful feeling in a home, it feels beautiful to have that very slow, and I'm not talking about fans that whiz around and you feel like you're almost going to take off, but ceiling fans that just go really slowly and are silent, and you can just feel that slight movement of air in a space. It's beautiful, so much nicer than air conditioning. But the other thing is that the ceiling fan uses significantly less energy. So at a floor plan sanity check stage, it'll be always in the bedrooms if the client's really happy with that, and then in the living rooms as well. So there's definitely been a big uptake in the amount of ceiling fans. And even me, I got rid of my decorative pendant in the master bedroom, and we installed a fan, and that basically took prevalence because I knew it was going to have such a better impact for us, and it did. So pendant went, ceiling fan went in. I thought I could live without it, and really I couldn't. What's the other shift? Healthy products. Wow. A few years ago, it was really only people with allergies where it was personally impacting them or a member of their family that they needed to be conscious about having low allergy products in their home. We even had a client that had to have zero synthetic products in their home. But now people are really conscious about VOCs, toxins, and really mitigating and minimizing the amount of toxic products in their home. So it's not just a desire for those with allergies, but it's now clients wanting to create a better internal environment in their home, period. So that means that we're using more natural fibers, the request for more natural fibers. And again, it just becomes part of what we do without it necessarily being express request. But when it is an express request, it's just, and that's why it is what I'm seeing, that's becoming more and more highly regarded. Our clients are expressly wanting products that are not only healthy in their home, but it's better for the environment as well. Natural products are always going to do this. So how does that resonate? How does that follow through into what people are having? Woolen carpets over synthetic carpets. Natural fibers for their curtaining. Natural fibers for their furniture. So that means we're using more linens, more wool mixes, cotton, 100% cotton fibers rather than using synthetic fibers. Now, I'm not saying this is happening all the time. What I'm saying is there's an increase that I'm seeing of people wanting those products. Low VOC paints, having products that are not using formaldehyde, using products that then are Australian made because we have regulations on the toxins and the ingredients that are put into our products here, where that may not be the case with products that are made overseas. So again, if we're using Australian made products, our standards are higher here. And so that means that you're going to have a healthier product with your cabinetry materials and other materials that are being used in your home. Lastly, but absolutely not the least significant, we are working on and working with clients that are building passive houses that are going to be accredited as passive houses, and others that are using passive house principles. And what I mean by that is they may not necessarily get their house formally accredited at the end of the build process, but their home has been designed with passive house principles. So it will be, I suppose, to a passive house standard. It's been designed and built to a passive house standard. They just may not go and get it accredited. There is an additional cost to do that. There's an additional process to do that. So that may not be important to them. But what's important is that they get the house designed and built to passive house principles. 5 years ago, I don't think I could even have counted on one hand how many passive houses we were working on. Last year, it increased significantly. And already this year, we're starting to work on new projects that are passive houses. How excited am I? Because what that means is that if they're designing a home that's passive house or working to passive house principles, they're going to be really serious and caring about sustainable materials being used for their interiors too. So again, it's going to be that demand which pulls on the supply chain to say we have more people in Australia that want sustainable products for their interiors. And so we're going to have to deliver more. We're going to have to care more. Now, you've heard on this whole series about a lot of the suppliers that I've been speaking to who are, I suppose, ahead of the bell curve, and they are ahead of what's happening in the market already by making sure that they are ready for when this becomes regulatory. And it's already coming. There's a podcast episode that will be coming up about just how it's going to impact the average consumer and their back pocket with the regulations that are going to come to the fore. So the demand is making sure that the supply is going to be coming into Australia as well. So I suppose what I wanted to share with you today is just the changes that I'm seeing. And so it's really just to say it's coming. It's coming. It really is evolving. It's not where, 30 or 40 years behind Germany, which 10 years ago I could have easily said we couldn't get any of the products. It really is changing. The change has been significant over the last 9 years. What's been so beautiful for me to see is over the last 12 to 18 months, the pull, and this is just my client base. It's just the clients that we've been dealing with. And I'm sure a lot of other interior designers and builders and architects in the market are seeing it as well. But it just means that we are really changing, and I'm so happy about it. And so I wanted to share where I'm seeing the change. Maybe it's triggered something for you to think, maybe I should get that provisioned in my home, or we need to think about that. And by all means, listen to some of the back episodes in terms of the products that you can use. There'll be future episodes as well on other products that we're Australian-made products and sustainable products that we'll be featuring on the podcast as well. So it's awesome. I'm so happy that sustainability is becoming more and more of a focus when people are designing and building their homes. And if that's you, well done. If you're thinking about it, explore more. There's lots and lots of resources out there for you to do that. So in 2 weeks, the next episode will be released, and it's an exciting one. I've got another supplier on the podcast to talk about their products, and it's going to be a great one for an Australian-made product as well. So check back here in a couple of weeks for the next episode. Bye for now. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of My Forever Home. If you're ready to renovate or build a new home and you need help to create a beautiful and functional forever home, you can book a chat with me directly at whitepebbleinteriors.com.au/chat. Have a great day.